Today's video is about Moses and his wife or wives. As most or some people may know that in the Jewish and Christian community, there are two opinions out there about Moses' wife or wives. One is Zipporah is the Ethiopian woman and the other is Zipporah and the Ethiopian woman are two different women. In this video, I will provide external additional information about the Ethiopian woman to show an alternate way of looking at the text because the Bible is a bit confusing regarding Zipporah and the Ethiopian woman. Reading the next few slides, I'll allow the AI voice to read them.
From the Bible. Zipporah only appears 3 times in Scripture. The first time, at the well, Exodus 2, the second time, while on the journey to Egypt, Exodus 4, and third in the wilderness when Moses meet up with Jethro her father, Exodus 18. The Ethiopian woman mentioned once in Numbers 12 verse 1. Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Ethiopian wife, for he had married an Ethiopian. From Josephus' writings. However, while Moses was uneasy at the armies lying idle, for the enemies dare not come to Abatel, this incident happened. Tharbis was the daughter of the king of the Ethiopians. She happened to see Moses, as he led the army near to the walls, and fought with great courage, and admiring the subtlety of his undertakings, and believing him to be the author of the Egyptian success, when they had before despaired of recovering their liberty, and to be the occasion of the great danger the Ethiopians were in, when they had before boasted of their great achievements, she fell deeply in love with him, and upon the prevalency of that passion, sent to him the most faithful of all her servants to discourse with him upon their marriage. He thereupon accepted the offer, on condition she would procure the delivering up of the city, and gave her the assurance of an oath to take her to his wife, and that when he had once taken possession of the city, he would not break his oath to her. No sooner was the agreement made, but it took effect immediately, and when Moses had cut off the Ethiopians, he gave thanks to God, and consummated his marriage, and led the Egyptians back to their own land. The book of Exodus tells us that Moses met Zipporah when he fled Egypt, while we hear about the Ethiopian woman in the book of Numbers. This could be that although he met Zipporah in the land of Midian, she may be an Ethiopian living with her family in Midian, or if that is not the case, and she is indeed a Midianite, therefore Moses had 2 wives. With the additional information from Josephus, it appears that they are 2 different women. Why? Because he met them in 2 separate locations. In the Bible, he met Zipporah by the well in the land of Midian, but we are not told where he met the Ethiopian woman. However, according to Josephus, he met Tharbis, the Ethiopian woman, during a war with the Ethiopians. Zipporah was daughter of a priest in Midian. Tharbis was the daughter of the Ethiopian king. Here is a scenario as to how the 2-wife situation can make sense. Tharbis was his wife when he was an Egyptian army leader. He left her when he fled Egypt. He met and married Zipporah in the land of Midian, but when he went back to Egypt to free his people, he reunited with Tharbis and kept both wives. Finding Tharbis, the Ethiopian woman mentioned in the book of Numbers after the Exodus, and if Josephus' information is accurate, then that is a possibility. Having more than 1 wife was acceptable in Moses' time. If he did not have the 2 wives, then, we can say with certainty, that Zipporah was indeed the Ethiopian woman Aaron and Miriam spoke against. The Ethiopians were a people that went all over the regions in the Bible. We find them in Egypt and in Canaan's land. It is likely that if the Ethiopians were able to make their way to those 2 countries, they could also make their way to the land of Midian as well. Therefore, if we only consider the information from the Bible, it is not impossible that Zipporah and her family could have relocated to Midian, and she is the Ethiopian woman. However, putting the 2 writings together indicates with certainty that he had 2 wives.
So I just included a map of Africa to show the different countries here. The continent of Africa has got many countries. There are people out there who actually believe the continent only is just one big country. So we've got Egypt here. We've got Canaan's land right there, which is called, after it was called Palestine, now Israel. So that's right there. And then we've got Sudan, Eritrea, and Ethiopia, modern day Ethiopia. I say that because back in Moses' time, anything below Egypt was called Ethiopia. So we really have no idea where uh, Tarbis was from, because it's just it was all Ethiopia. However, chances are she could have been close to up in this area here that is now modern day Sudan, or Eritrea, or Ethiopia. Another thing I'd like to point out is that in terms of Zipporah, it's not a hard thing to see that if she was an Ethiopian woman, if let's just say he had one wife and she was Ethiopian, it's not hard to say they could pick up and move wherever they're from, like whether Sudan, Eritrea, or modern day Ethiopia. If it's any of these two, easy to go in this way. And I think they say Midian is somewhere around here. So it wouldn't have been that hard to relocate from Ethiopia to Midian, to the land of Midian. And, or they could have even gone through Egypt to get there, So that's a possibility. So it's not far-fetched that Zipporah could have been an Ethiopian woman with her family, and they moved into the land of Midian. And that's where Moses met her, thinking that we're just dealing with he had one wife. And if he did not, he did marry a Midianite woman and an Ethiopian woman. I also want to just say, if anyone is interested in reading more about the wars with the Egyptians and the Ethiopian in the time of Moses, you can find that in Fabulous Josephus' writings, in in his book of Antiquities of the Jews, book 2, and the particular story about Tarbis is found in chapter 10. I also want to mention that Josephus is considered a well-respected Jewish historian. And there are also contemporaries of Josephus who also have the Ethiopian war stories, and there's mention of Tarbis. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.